Welcome back to the show, everybody. Check out these headlines here. Twitter versus the government, Fidelity and Bitcoin. We got Brad Garlinghouse in the news, and also the CFPB. Remember them? You're going to want to. And the SEC versus Ripple case could be over before the end of 2022. We'll show you how it could happen. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. You can follow me on Twitter at Dig Perspectives at the top of the screen. And everything that we're talking about here today, $1.790 trillion market cap, ladies and gentlemen. It's April 26, 2022. Good afternoon. We were up over 4% this morning. We're now down 1.44% on the crypto market cap. Right now, Bitcoin back below 40,000 at 38,600 plus. Ethereum back under 3,000 at 2,800 plus. We see XRP is up at the number 7 spot from the number 8 spot and is at 65 cents. We're now off by 15.26%, ladies and gentlemen, on the 7-day. That is horrible right there. But you know what? This is what happens when, you have the SEC suing you and delaying, right? This is what we see. Look at the range of price really quickly here. 66 cents on the bottom, 72 on the top. We'll keep an eye on it. This is a reminder right now. If you're accredited, go to link2.com. If you want to get Ripple private equity, yes, you can do it. There's a promotion going on. Whether you use your Uphold wallet or wire the money in, you can get $1,000 worth of XRP back for buying Ripple private equity. Make sure you check it out and all the other great available products as well. Take a look right here very quickly here. This is Dr. Eli David right here. It says, instead of buying Twitter, as we know Elon Musk has done, Elon Musk could have ended hunger, disease, and poverty and injustice in the world with $44 billion, said by those supporting the government, which fails to do so with $7 trillion annual budget. I love it. I love it, Dr. Eli David. I said here, there's nothing more pathetic than someone less successful claiming they know better what to do with someone else's money. Stop spending someone else's money. You still got time, U.S. government. Show us all how it's done, and you do it. You've got the $7 trillion budget. You fix it. But they never do they? I'll tell you something else the U.S. government never seems to do. They never seem to come out and go, you know what? We're all spending too much money. Doesn't matter if we're right or we're left. We've all been spending too much money, and we need to now learn how to do less, make with less in the U.S. government system. They never seem to come up with that as a solution, do they? Just recently voted themselves a raise, too, not long ago. U.S.-based Fidelity will invest Bitcoin in participants' 401k retirement plans if employers include the option in their plans, reports say. This is a big move when you start seeing all of this be an option in people's 401ks, ladies and gentlemen. It's getting bigger. Regulations must happen because you can't continue to let this kind of interwoven or seepage from the digital asset space into the conventional investment products like a 401k without having clear regulations on what these things are or are not. Remember, the SEC said there is no digital asset, not Bitcoin nor Ethereum, that has an official designation. Period. Full stop. Right here, this is an excellent little explainer video here from John Deaton. Said these eloquent, amici lay out shocking examples, the gag roll in the permitting the SEC to prosecute innocent parties and hide other agency misconduct. My God, just when you believe you can't think less of the SEC, you learn this. Take a quick listen here.
Justice is blind, and everyone should have a fair chance to defend themselves. But when a government agency brings charges against you in its own internal court, innocent people don't stand a chance, and their reputations are forever destroyed. At the Securities and Exchange Commission, 98% of cases settle because ordinary Americans cannot afford to fight the powerful agency. And the moment defendants settle, they are silenced for life. The SEC has been coercing defendants for 5 decades with a gag rule that forbids defendants from speaking the truth at risk of re-prosecution. But that is not how justice works. The gag rule prohibits truthful speech and infringes the public's right to hear criticism of these agencies. As a people, we should never tolerate the injustice of the government silencing defendants. Does anything offend the First Amendment more than government censorship of speech? Sign our petition today.
Absolutely. And I tell you, that's not the only thing you can do is sign their petition today. But I encourage all of you, inspired by Rod Hopp, Hall of Famer on this channel, the only way to advance the crypto ball forward is to vote in those willing to work with someone like Patrick McHenry to hold the SEC and the Biden administration accountable for stifling innovation. This is a post right here from Crypto Law. It says Patrick McHenry as House Banking Chair next year could accelerate stalled legislation on crypto, and Patrick McHenry would likely use his gavel to pursue intense investigations of the Biden administration. You paying attention, Gary Gensler? This is what I tell you. I don't bring politics into my channel very often because I don't like it. But I will tell you this, when politics or something gets in the way of my pursuits or my investments, and it hits a crossroads with my pursuits or investments, that's when I get involved. Now is the time, and we all need to call to action to do exactly that. Because I tell you, these are people we cannot count on, and it's Jake Chervinsky from the Blockchain Association. He's pathetic. Right here, you see Liz Moran say, here you have it, folks. The proof of work industry plans to pollute in other states before they reduce energy consumption and go towards renewables. New York must pass the bill that they have to actually squash proof of work mining. Jake Chervinsky here is talking about, imagine thinking Texas is going to adopt New York policy on proof of work mining. If we genuinely want to achieve climate control, we do not have time for wishful naivete like this. Good policy has to get made in the real world, not in our fantasies. Jake Chervinsky's in a fantasy, okay? Because Jake Chervinsky serves special interest money. And I tell you how you can prove it, Jake, because Jake doesn't have the balls to show us where the money comes from to back the Blockchain Association. Do you, Jake? Because I've asked you to do it before and you won't, because there is a specific reason why you have not helped and come to the aid and support of John Deaton and 66,000 crypto investors. There is a damn good reason. And now you want everyone to stand with you, Jake, because now proof of work, which you thought was safe because there's so much special interest money behind Bitcoin, and it isn't. And here I answer you this, and I say proof of work isn't necessary to run reliable blockchains, Jake. Why even have this conversation? Sounds like two people arguing over pagers, but they have no idea the iPhone has been out for years. A conversation this pointless can only be fueled by one thing: special interest money. Looking right here, Jake goes on to make the argument even still, you can use all the fossil fuels you want unless you have computers running certain specified algorithms we don't like. Here he feels like he's being bullied, right? People are not listening to the special interest money that Jake represents. Now, are they, Jake? Jake didn't care when the SEC sued Ripple, and it wasn't till his special interest money for the Blockchain Association is threatened that now he wants all of us to stand with him. You're going to have to go this one alone, Jake, just like you told us to do. Here's a clip right here of Brad Garlinghouse telling everybody that the U.S. is you-know-what right here. I'm going to give this to you in 5 seconds. Take a quick listen here.
Look, I introduced myself earlier. I'm a kid from Kansas who, wears red, white, and blue on the 4th of July. The United States, look, I'm sure this is probably being streamed and recorded, but I'll do something I rarely do.
Disclaimer.
I rarely do this when I'm being recorded. The United States is fucked.
And there you have it, because that's the frustration of somebody who actually worked within the system and yet was still targeted because they have deep liquidity as a company. And this is a clip right here, which I'm not going to play, but the truth is that Ripple is really in a position that reminds Brad Garlinghouse here compared to Amazon Books and the moment that they transition from books to selling everything. And now Brad Garlinghouse feels they're at that pivotal moment too. So it's not just Ripple and payments anymore. And to complement that idea and notion, I would remind everybody about the XLS-20 token to be able to launch NFTs off of the XRP ledger as just a simple example of what's coming. Take a look at this, because this could take us to where we see the end of this case sometime this year. This is a reminder from back in March here, and I want to show you this because as it's in March, but if you remember, there are a couple class action lawsuits that were in place before the SEC lawsuit happened. And just very quickly, those class action lawsuits agreed to wait for the decision in the SEC case before, and would accept whatever came from that SEC findings of that case and help it to rule and settle their class action lawsuits. So if we remember here, going back through this, the court documents suggested that Ripple lawyers expect the SEC versus Ripple to be over not before August 26, which raises a likelihood of a summary judgment in September, predicted attorney Jeremy Hogan at the time. And it goes on here to say, I think Ripple thinks it wins the SEC case in September, October, and then this class action goes away due to collateral estoppel, which is basically, by the way, waiting for the decision from the SEC case to inform their cases, right? And here you can see in this August 26th, new agreed date, November 18th, 2022. So the Ripple team, to an extent, does believe that this case for the SEC versus Ripple should be over before the end of this year. And if not, I would expect that this date would have to be reinformed. No doubt about it. So this is getting interesting, ladies and gentlemen. Head on a swivel. You never know. Remember, the XRP community-friendly attorney also added his best guesses may come in April or May for a settlement at the time, but we've had more information come in since then. So we know that the SEC is going to appeal the recent denied motion about turning over the emails up to Judge Torres now. So we're going to have to wait and see what happens with that ruling. Now, if that ruling is certified, then that's going to allow the SEC to appeal to the Second Circuit Court should Judge Torres agree with Judge Netburn on denying that motion and for them to turn those emails over to Ripple. Now, if the Judge Torres just simply rules with Judge Netburn and says, I agree with Judge Netburn, you have to turn over the emails and I am not certifying this, then they would have, the SEC would have no appeal whatsoever and they would simply have to give up those documents. Now, you think about this. If there's one thing's for sure, the SEC does not want Ripple or us or anyone else seeing those emails. So you have to ask yourself, are they willing to take the risk of whether Judge Torres will actually certify it to let them appeal to a higher court? That is a big, big stakes game. And while all of that is happening here, I found this to be extremely relevant. CFPB, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, invokes old rule to examine fintech risk. That's right. And this is what we're looking at, ladies and gentlemen. The CFPB invokes old rule to examine fintech risk. And basically, if you're looking at this here, let me go through this very quickly. I had it open. So very quickly here, I just want to show you this. It says that under the Dodd-Frank Act, it can supervise non-banks whose activities the CFPB has reasonable cause to determine pose risk to consumers. The agency implemented the provision through procedural rule in 2013 and now begun to invoke this authority, with so many non-banks now offering a plethora of financial services to millions of Americans. The CFPB says it will examine potentially unfair, deceptive, and abusive acts for practices. Remember, the CFPB is in fact an enforcement agency. And remember this. Just a couple years ago, in July 21, 2020, the CFPB also put an amendment in saying non-bank institution, fintechs, just like in the article, non-bank remittance transfers such as Ripple with the virtual currency XRP can be used to effect settlement of transfers for banks and credit unions. Isn't that interesting? I found that to be highly interesting. Take a look right here. Just letting everybody know, Dark Defender says, XRP touched 70 cents as discussed yesterday and now proceeding to retest the multi-year resistance at 66 cents, which we saw just a short time ago. I tell you, I've covered 3 different technical analysts here this morning on the macro charts of XRP, the monthly, the 3-month, and just the overall yearly chart. And I tell you, they all are bullish on XRP, regardless of the current state of the SEC versus Ripple case. And one thing I'll say as a reminder here, I know a lot of people get very frustrated because they look at price so much. They get frustrated when somebody talks about the idea of something going to $7 or $13 or $300, like we talked about this morning. But what I would remind people of is this. Remember, we have clarity for XRP in Japan. We have clarity for XRP in the Middle East, which is a lot of different countries. We have clarity for XRP in Singapore. We have clarity for XRP in the UK. Remember that. That is enormous. And you could see larger adoption happen at a faster pace in those regions, and that could be the catalyst itself for price. How about that one? That's going to do it for me. Not financial advice from me or anyone else. Check out all the links underneath the video. Great products and services I use each and every day, and I'll catch all of you on the next one.